Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Tuesday. It is Dave Sturchio. It is Chris Gueci. It is A5 Anthony behind the glass coming to you from Chop Studios. And we hope you guys have enjoyed the Monday Night Football. Kind of lackadaisical, I would say. You know, nothing crazy, nothing like
Yeah, not much offense. There was no pass catching involved whatsoever.
I mean, it was, and it's unfortunate for, you know, the Saints, who now, like I said, if they would have won yesterday, you know, I might have said this on the other show. If they would have won yesterday, there would be a game back, if not tied, for first place with the Bucks and the Falcons. But a loss here sets them back. That's rough sledding. The Ravens on the ground looked just as good as they've looked all year. Again, Lamar Jackson was without a whole bunch of guys. You know, Andrews was out. Bateman's out for the year. Dobbins on the IR. Gus Bus with a wheel fell off. You know what I mean? So he had to do it with, I don't want to say scraps, because there was a Deshaun Jackson sighting last night, by the way. He looked like he could still run a route, so that's good. There was a stat you pulled up a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but maybe even recently when I said Deshaun Jackson signed with the Ravens. What was it? It was like the most explode, like 60-yard or more touchdowns or something like that.
Deshaun Jackson has the most touchdowns over 60 yards in NFL history.
That's I mean, it's not an insane stat but the amount of them, wasn't it like
25? That's absurd.
It's like you're playing schoolyard ball with this guy.
If only it was 8 years ago.
Just go. You know what I mean? Like, when I say hike, you just go. And that's what Deshaun has done. So, yeah, right. So, in any event, top movers from last night, right? We got ourselves not a lucrative market last night, but there was some movement based off of some of the guys that actually had good games, starting with Kenyan Drake. And I don't know how many times I've actually said Kenyan and Kenyan back and forth, but I'm just gonna keep going with whatever I feel at the moment. I don't know.
I think it's Kenyan Drake.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
There's been plenty of times where I'm like, Kenyan. And I'm
we're
like,
all good.
Kenyan Drake. So he has himself a decent night. 24 rushes for 93 yards. Scores twice. Last night, market dictates it up 3%. And again, this was a relief pitching effort, if you think about it, like because of the fact that both running backs are out. Justice Hill was splashed in there a little bit. I believe they had somebody else too. There was just a bunch of guys, and I had it listed here. Yeah, Rashard even got a carry up the gut. Just had a plethora of running backs, and he obviously showed out when he had the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what J.K. Dobbins' injury situation's like, but I'm not really too bullish on Kenyan Drake right now. I understand that he's been playing well in spurts, but he's also played bad in spurts, and I think as soon as Dobbins gets back, he's going to be injected into the lineup. But I think he was only a 4-week, 5-week thing, so Dobbins is expected back this season.
Yo, absolutely. It was not a season-long IR thing for Dobbins. He was just dealing with the same, basically just stiffness and tightness of the recovering knee. So, again, Dobbins will be back eventually, but while he's gone, it looks like he's holding down the fort pretty well. You flip over to the other side, which, again, an offense run by Andy Dalton last night, and I'll just say it like this. The Saints are absolutely in the quarterback market next year. If Jameis Winston is sitting on the sidelines and he's healthy, there's a reason for that. They don't believe in Jameis Winston. They sure as hell don't believe in Andy Dalton. So based off their 3-6 record, you're starting to think like these guys might be in the top 10, top 15 of the draft next year. Maybe you start to look at a future quarterback because Chris Olave is our next top mover and he's suffering.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Eagles have that pick.
Oh, my God. Go get your pick back, New Orleans.
Yeah,
you need that pick back.
The Saints are up. You know, they're up against it right now as far as the quarterback position goes. And you say Jameis is healthy. I'm not so sure he's healthy, but he's healthy enough to be the backup.
If you're standing on the sidelines and you have your pads on, it's a coach's decision to me. Like, it's been 3 weeks of him standing on the sidelines.
You have no idea. He has a fracture in his spine.
Well, if that's the case, then put on the IR and go get yourself another quarterback. Because this is garbage. How you're just going to stand around and just, do your,
But it's not like
I love Jameis Winston.
Andy Dalton's actually played decent, all things considered. So I wouldn't put it on Andy Dalton's shoulders. And he's played better than Jameis Winston. But I think that's because Jameis is playing injured.
Yeah. Well, I look at Chris Olave's night last night. We've been not ragging on him, but singing his praises.
Leave Jameis Winston alone, by the way.
I know you're a big fan of his Instagram page and his workouts and everything like that, which is, again, some of the funniest. I think Mojo's Twitter, which whoever runs it, bravo, kudos to you. They said last night there's only one man that can save the Saints, and it was just Jameis doing the back and forth, the whole little dance that he was doing.
Wrong.
I mean, they're not wrong. He's obviously the more explosive quarterback.
They might be really wrong.
They might be very, very wrong. But in any event, Chris Olave has a decent night. 6 catches on 9 targets, 71 yards. He continues to perform despite the carousel at quarterback. So imagine him with a decent quarterback, and Olave would keep flourishing the way he is, if not more.
Yeah, it's just him doing a regular workman's-like day in the NFL. There wasn't much to offer, but he still managed to find himself room in the defense to get some targets and to get some catches. We didn't expect Olave to blow up. If there was anyone on the Saints, I'm looking through it. He's really the only guy that draws interest from me.
You're not on a long-term plan, Kamara, at this point? Which, by the way, new video surveillance, not fun. He's going to get suspended at some point.
I think even if I was in on Kamara, the imminent suspension is going to take a dip. So I'm out on that.
Yeah.
Suspension looming, no go for me.
Yeah, not going to get involved there. But I will say somebody to get involved in is somebody that's offered a 5-time multiplier, and that's Lamar Jackson. Star quarterback, right? Everybody's on Lamar train, a former MVP. The guy, listen, again, the air yards, the air numbers, I know I've ragged on him for plenty of times of not being an actual NFL quarterback. He goes 12 for 22 last night, 133 yards, which, again, most quarterbacks do in the first quarter of games, and he threw a touchdown to Likely, so another spike out of Isaiah Likely, which is nice. But the big thing for Lamar is he's on a contract year, he's betting on himself, and he rushes 11 times for 82 yards. So the guy, it's like every play, it was almost like watching Justin Fields on Sunday. Very similar
here I am one day
styles.
removed from talking about how Justin Fields looks good, but he doesn't look like Lamar good because Lamar could throw the ball a lot better. Lamar's actually regressing a little bit. Since the beginning of the year, everyone was talking about Lamar's airing it out, and he was. He's not anymore.
Well, you take away his best target in Andrews. That
fair
works.
Point.
Bateman was supposed to be the guy.
Many weapons. I'm going to give him that. Give him the pass there.
But he won his MVP with less.
Yeah, but that's a different scenario. He took the league by storm. I think defenses and coordinators are a little more understanding on how to control Lamar Jackson.
It's crazy when he's in shotgun, and you just know it's like an 80-20% chance that he's going to take off and design run himself.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
I wouldn't say it's that high because there is. If you looked at the numbers, there's no way that he's taking off at 80% of the time in shotgun. There's just a 0% chance because he only had 11 rushes. I could guarantee you that he's in shotgun
by math, yes.
A lot.
By math, I'm off. But and that's just basic math. But what I will say about Lamar Jackson is, I almost said 9 times out of 10 because that's not true either.
That would be 90%.
Very good. See, we're always learning a little bit here and there on the Mojo Market Report. But I will say that Lamar Jackson, a lot of the times when he's lined up in the shotgun, he's going to take that ball and run. So again, if you're banking on that, go for it. Again, 5-time multiplier. Go for it. The reason why I'm in on
Lamar is because if it's not the Ravens, it's going to be somebody. I do worry a little bit about the franchise tag, but I can't really see them tagging Lamar and then creating that insanity in the media. And Lamar would probably hold out and not be in camp, and that's going to set next season back. They're going to end up paying him anyway. So I think once he gets that contract, the good play aside, he's 4th right now in the MVP odds. So all things considered, he's still having a decent season.
Did you see our boy Gino popped up in the MVP odds?
I did. He's 5th.
Ooh, man,
He's not going to win it.
No, of course not. But it's fun.
But Gino's that dude. I love Gino. But yeah, Lamar, I can't see how you wouldn't be in on him until he signs that contract because you're going to see a spike there.
So maybe invest in him right after the season. And then wait for the spike.
No, because they're going to probably be a playoff team. So
yeah, that's true. You might get some value towards the end.
Do you not think Lamar's going to bank some value from here on
out? I do. I just, again, it worries me on games like this where the Saints were just porous on defense. And, he did put up a decent number on the ground, but through the air, it's just it's not there for me. But it's a good segue talking about quarterbacks because today, imagine this. I know we live in a world now where we want to talk quarterbacks here on the Mojo Market Report. Why? Because those are the guys that got the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Validity? No.
Volatility?
There you go. How about that one? See, Chris is on the money today. But the quarterback market is always, lucrative, right? And we've always looked at a lot of the up-and-coming stars and guys that have been either drafted this year, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, guys like that. Not drafted this year, but I'm saying young quarterbacks. We're always focusing on that. But how about we take a look at some of the plays that you could possibly do right now and going forward on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks in the Mojo Market Report, okay? right now there is a top dog, and his name is Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady's sitting there with the biggest share price in the game right now at $172 a share. He's got a 15-time multiplier to go long on him, 10-time multiplier to go short. Technically, right now, if you were to slap that 15-time multiplier over the last month, Brady's down 10%. When you look at his career as a whole, it's a different story, right? I mean, it's all now the Mojo Market Report, basically the Mojo Market is dictating that this is the end of the road for a Tom Brady, you would think,
Well,
right?
yeah. Could you do me a favor and pull up that other graphic and then read off to me what his future is?
Future is $5.19.
And then look at what his average bank per season is.
That isn't there. Oh, $14.76. Sorry.
Yeah, so the market looks like they think Tom Brady's going to retire after
It
this
seems
season.
to be.
So
He's in his
gonna-
23rd
tough-
year.
Right now, it's a tough play for me on Brady to short him because the market says that they're going to probably it looks like he's going to retire. Now the play on Tom Brady would be: do you think he's going to exceed his market projection for the rest of this season?
I think right now with Tom Brady, the way he's been playing, which again, couple weeks ago or even a week ago, I was telling you that it's over. He's washed. It's over. And I'm firmly behind my views on that. I think that Tom Brady last week showed us that he played a very bad LA Rams secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey. And even Ramsey, who had a couple good plays, was missing in action on that last drive. And Brady could still lace it. Don't get me wrong. Look, bro, I don't care how old he is. He could still throw the football, right?
Okay.
But what I'm saying is it's not all there. He is regressing tremendously, and the team surrounding him isn't as good as advertised. So my play on Brady, I'm leaving it alone. Like, I'm not getting in now with this massive price. I'm not slapping any multipliers. I am just leaving alone the GOAT.
If you think that there's a chance that Tom Brady comes back next year, I think that it's not really a dangerous investment to put some money on Tom Brady because if you look at all the career bank value, the floor is very high on him. So if you just take the multipliers aside and you just played him straight up, which I wouldn't recommend that, but there's not much of a risk there with Tom Brady because if he does retire, you're going to lose maybe a couple percentage points. That's if he doesn't outplay his market projections for right now. If you got in on him now and he just puts up 4 monster games, you'll make some money on Tom Brady. I don't think Tom Brady comes back. I don't think that just because he had a game-winning drive that Tom Brady all of a sudden looks good. Look what he looked like for 55 minutes of that football game.
Exactly.
They didn't have much offense. So if I'm going to make a play on Tom Brady, just judging by the Tampa offense, I'm going to short him. And I would use a multiplier on it because what are we doing here?
10%, 10-time multiplier on his short game right now.
What are we doing here? If we're playing Tom Brady and you're not using multipliers, I think you're doing it wrong.
Speaking of using multipliers, there's another GOAT Junior, I guess. Like, I consider him one of the best throwers of the football that I've ever seen.
I'm so tired of that line.
Why?
He
throws the ball very well.
Yes, I understand, but it puts it in it's like Tom Brady's the GOAT, and then you're trying to give Aaron Rodgers his flowers and say, oh, but he's the best thrower. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Aaron Rodgers is lost 5 in a row. I'm bitter.
We're breaking news right now, okay? We got Chris Gueci over here telling you that Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Did I not?
I don't think I've ever heard that out of his mouth.
You have 100% heard that.
Anyway, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers here as the second guy that we want to talk about because, again, just based off of the way the season's playing out, right? And like I said, right now, his season stats are not fun. 14 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Not Rodgers-esque at all. Right now, he's down, over the last month, he's down 2.4%, which again, if you use that 15-time multiplier because of the fact that he's not going to move much without it, you're down 31%. So I'm sorry, 37%. So it's not the best play right now. And based off of what I see from Aaron Rodgers, just the eye test alone, it just seems like he's lost out there without a true number one. He's trying to make stars in which back in the day, which was a Wednesday, he was able to make stars. Jordy, Driver, guys like that. He made those guys just, if they were good, they were great because of the guy who was playing around. Cobb, Devontae Adams, guys like that. He's got nobody like that. These guys are all
consummate pros, and while Rodgers did help make them great, they were way better than what he's working with now.
But not at first. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys weren't like gangbusters off the rip. They just weren't.
I mean, in 2009 they had Jennings, Driver.
Did you expect Greg Jennings to be like this all-star? No.
Yes.
Yeah. you're a Packer fan, so maybe you were excited about him.
But when Rodgers started, Jennings was already established. Like Brett Favre and Jennings had a connection.
Yeah, but
he was already a Pro Bowler.
All right, fine. But I'm saying like even the younger guys that came up with Rodgers, and when Rodgers started, like
I think that there's a misconception that Rodgers didn't have stars around him at the receiver position because they never drafted a first-round pick. But in any given season, when you have a Jordy, a Jennings, a Driver, if they drafted a first-round pick with the way their defense was looking at those times and their O-line at those times, it would have been a bad pick. It's just recent when they drafted Jordan Love, when they could have drafted T. Higgins. That's when I have issues.
Yeah. So right now it is an issue for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and if you look at his career numbers on the Mojo Market,
shout out to Jordan Love, by the way.
Yeah, he's on his way.
He might be a buy.
Yeah, he might be a get in now type deal. But right now, if you're looking at Rodgers' market over the course of his career, again, that draft stock fell. I mean, he was waiting in the green room longer than anybody else that year, and he's up 506% over his career. So again, he's made absolute cash, right? When you look at the future value here, Chris, do you think that just like Brady, is this the end of the road for Aaron Rodgers? And I know you're about to say he's got 50 million reasons why he shouldn't, right? Like, but here's the thing.
He's actually got like 150 million reasons why he might play 2 more years.
Right, but here, if I'm the GM of the Packers, am I like, look, is this team going to suffer because of the fact that this guy's digressing that much?
We just got done watching Drew Brees hold his team hostage for years.
We watched Big Ben
hold his team hostage for years. So I'm not sure we're going to see the same from Rodgers. He's definitely a unique cat, right? We could agree to that.
100%.
He might be the one guy that does leave $100 million on the table just to go
host Jeopardy,
take mushrooms, and I think the hosting Jeopardy days are over.
Yeah, no shot.
I think he wants to go on a retreat into like the Pacific Northwest.
He could be the third guy. It would be McAfee, Hawk, and Rodgers. Every day I'd watch that. 100%.
Do you know what I think, Dave?
Sure.
I think that Rodgers, while I'm on the fence about this because I've gone on record and said I think you could short Aaron Rodgers confidently.
You'd be up 24% on a 10-time short multiplier over the last month.
I think watching Rodgers in his pressers after the game and seeing how it's almost like blasé to him that they're losing. I don't think he doesn't care that they're losing, but I think it's part of football, and he's finally realizing, like, look, I'm not going to win every year, but I am getting paid handsomely to be up here. And I think there might be a part of Rodgers where he feels it's like his responsibility to prove to the public that he isn't a bad guy and he's going to take all these young guys and work. And really, in reality, it's a selfish move on his part because he's stunting Jordan Love's growth and he's holding the Packers hostage, but he's going to spin it. And I'm going to be all over it.
Yeah,
I'm going to be all about it.
You are.
That Aaron Rodgers is going to be the tutelage and the coach and the mentor that all these young guys need.
Yeah, they're all going to be singing Kumbaya, sitting Indian style in a carpet.
And in vintage John Elway fashion, Aaron Rodgers wins 2 straight Super Bowls.
This one's for John. Right, yeah.
We'll see.
Look, he might be on the same stuff that Rodgers is on if he thinks that that's the case.
Well, I will.
Whatever the hell it's called.
But it's the market kind of agrees with me that it's 50-50 right now if Rodgers is going to play next year. If he comes back, we're going to see a bump. If he doesn't come back, it's going to be a sell. There's no doubt about it.
Unfortunately, Mojo was able to break the news yesterday, or at least piggyback off a couple of reports that Romeo Doubs is now out for 4 to 6 weeks. So who's stepping up?
And I will say this. It is a crucial point in the Aaron Rodgers-Jordan Love saga because Jordan Love is entering his 4th year next year. He's on his rookie deal, so they can give him an option for a 5th, but do you give an option to a 5th-year option to a guy that you have not seen play yet? I think in this case you would have to.
Well, guess what? You're going to have to give him some time to show you that he's worth a 5th-round option or a 5th-year option.
That's the whole point of this conversation. So, yes, that does worry me a little bit because I'm sure while Jordan Love is speaking one way towards the media, in his heart, he wants to be playing football and he wants to prove that he's worth that second contract. So a little precarious situation working in Green Bay, but as a Packer fan, I want Rodgers to stay and I want him to win 2 more Super Bowls.
Much like Tom Brady before, as far as his career and his championships and his accolades and everything that made him the GOAT, I think I have my eye on one Patrick Mahomes as the next guy.
I will say real quick, though, if you are shorting Aaron Rodgers, double down and go long on Jordan Love. That's a given, right? Because it's the quarterback of the future in Green Bay.
And we've seen the movement
on what happens when a guy gets named the starter. If he gets named the starter in Green Bay, that's going to be an epic day. You understand how that's going to play out, right? The media is going to be all over it. It's just going to be a buzz. I think you might see a significant uptick more than you saw with a Sam Ehlinger.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe not because Love has some expectations, but we'll see.
But Patrick Mahomes is my guy, okay? I got in on him just a little bit ago. and not that long ago. So it wasn't like he was one of my first buys, which I wish he was. Since I bought in on him, I had it written down here. Where was it?
Pat Mahomes has had a good month. We'll say
he has an absolute good month. He's up 150% if you slap the 15-time multiplier on him. I bought him at 119. He's sitting at 131, and that was only a couple weeks ago. So he's had himself a significant spike and significant performance over the last couple weeks.
He actually has taken over the number 2 spot.
He has. Rodgers was
Mojo
2.
Market.
And then bang, Mahomes jumps over him. Like I said, this guy right here is your Amazon, your Tesla, your Apple, all this, the stocks that are guaranteed to just continue to rise.
Well,
Mahomes is the guy.
Well,
he is.
There's no such thing as a guarantee.
Right, but
yes,
in my mind,
it is the most safe because all of those stocks are down right now. All these stocks you're talking about not doing good.
Listen,
the market is down. The market is down in general right now. So yes, I agree with you. Patrick Mahomes, he's the safest bet.
Yes,
in football right now.
And every week he's a Houdini type player. He's fun to watch, and he's the guy. He's the guy. And he's going to be the top dog when Brady retires. So that'll be the guy that everybody's chasing on this Mojo Market is who can get to be who can be the next.
We've gotten used
Patrick
to
Mahomes.
seeing the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady at the top of the mountain, but in a year's time, at least 2 years' time, no longer than that, we're probably going to see it's going to be Mahomes and Josh Allen.
If you look at this guy's career, check it, bring it up, Ant. Look at this. Over his course of a year, again, he was traded up to get, all right, and this was, right? No, I'm sorry. The Bears actually traded up to go get Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes. So that'll be the old chip on the shoulder for the rest of his life.
They may have traded up to get Mahomes. Though.
Maybe, but anyway, 392% over the course of his career. The future value is where it's at right now. It looks like 87-67 on top of what he's already made. It's like, dude, the future projections for Patrick Mahomes. It might look. I understand the Super Bowl accolades and the bonuses you get and the multipliers for those Super Bowl accolades, but will he win as many as Brady? Probably not. What I look at him, his banked value already, the guy, his career ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, and Patrick Mahomes seems to be the guy forever.
And we could buck the notion that Tyreek Hill leaving was going to make Patrick Mahomes a worse player. It did do a couple things. Like Patrick Mahomes right now, out of all the quarterbacks in the league, he's 22nd in air yards per attempt, which isn't that good.
That's interesting.
It's not that good. But what you see him in second in total EPA per play. So it doesn't matter. Just Pat Mahomes is that good. He spreads it around. Which receiver is the best over there? Obviously, we don't know because it's Kelce.
There's a difference between each and every one of them. Like big body guy, Juju, right? Speed guy, Mecole Hardman. What?
Juju's not big.
I mean, based off of, I'm talking about stature. Like he can draw attention like a tight end almost. And then I look at Travis Kelce, who's probably going to wind up being top tight end forever going forward. But Mahomes is fun to watch. Somebody I'm kind of iffy on, and that's Justin Herbert. Okay, I understand that he's up there right now, 92.59. He's had himself a tough month. And if you think about it, it's ever since he broke all them ribs, like he had that injury. It seems to me, just looking at what he's done in the past month alone, my decision on him is not out yet. Like, I don't know. And maybe it's coaching. And maybe it's the fact that Keenan Allen's been hurt and now Mike Williams is hurt.
That's
and
what
like
I was going to get to.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's dealing with the same thing Lamar's doing with nobody to pass to. But, I mean, let's think about this for a second. Besides Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes is making Juju better. He's making Mecole Hardman relevant. He's making an entire running back department in that organization relevant. Justin Herbert has a hard time doing it, and he's got a guy like Austin Eckler to just dink and dunk, and I would do that until the wheels fell off, until you get your stars back. It's just been tough sledding for Justin Herbert, and that's make me kind of pump the brakes just a little bit.
Yeah, I agree that Herbert hasn't quite lived up to expectations.
Not yet.
Going into the season, they were picked to maybe contend for a Super Bowl in the AFC. They've had a ton of injuries, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball as well.
True.
So they're running through a couple issues there in LA. But all things considered, in what everybody expected to be one of the toughest divisions in football going into the year,
indeed it is.
It's not. But they're 5-3 with all the injuries, and I could really confidently say that the reason why they're 5-3 right now, outside of the fact that Austin Eckler has played well in the red zone, but it's Justin Herbert, right? So they're 5-3. They're heavy in the thick of things, and it's because of him. I understand that the numbers aren't great, but who is he throwing to?
I mean, the numbers are okay.
It's not like Justin. Well, they're not great.
No,
I didn't say that they were bad, right? So they're not great. They're average, but there's definitely room for improvement as Keenan Allen gets back, as Mike Williams gets back, and that offense starts humming along. I'm not a fan of the head coach, and I think they're going to win enough games over the course of the next couple seasons to keep him around for a while, and I think that's unfortunate because I do think it will stunt Justin Herbert. But Justin Herbert's just way too talented to keep down. This guy's going to get opportunity after opportunity. If you see a couple bad months here or there out of him, he's here to stay. Look at the size of him. Look at his athletic ability. If the Chargers don't want him, I'll take him, right? Let's bring Justin
Chris
Herbert
will
to Green
adopt
Bay.
him,
Come
actually.
on, like everybody's in on Justin Herbert.
What I will say is this is one of your favorite graphs, and it's the Stairway to Heaven with
It's
him,
not
right?
my favorite graph anymore.
Not anymore. This is
because
the
if you look at that little dip, that's when I bought him.
That's right now.
That's right when I bought him. Thanks, guys. No, I did make some money on Herbert because he went.
I got out on him. I actually sold my stock
did
on
as well.
Herbert. But over the course, he's got a nice future value. He's banked a little bit. He's only been playing a couple of years, so everybody's understanding where he's at. But again, Justin Herbert, to me, you got to show me a little something going forward for me to actually completely buy in on your stock going forward. Again, if you nailed him last year, where he's just obviously if Mojo was around last year and he has a great career year, then sure you're going to go nuts because he's still a kid. But again, when you look at Justin Herbert, who is offering a 10-time multiplier, I did that and I didn't do well. You know what I'm saying? So right now, Herbert's going to keep moving.
Yeah, timing is everything.
Yeah,
though.
it is.
Because he's been as high as, I think, like 97. I think that there's significant room for growth because he's had a couple down weeks. If he has just 1 week with 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, we might see him spike up significantly. So I wouldn't say, oh, Justin Herbert's on his downtick. No, I think there's things that are brighter for Justin Herbert going forward. While a lot of teams will be playing their home games in terrible weather, Justin Herbert's going to be playing in sunny California.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
And not to mention, we talked about the injuries. These guys will get back healthy. I think Justin Herbert, we could settle down, hold Justin Herbert if you have him, and maybe consider buying the dip and going long and using the
All of it. All of it. Just do it all.
No. Proceed with caution.
Yes.
Because, he's a younger player and there is some risk there. But I can't say getting in on Herbert without a multiplier. Like, if I'm doing it, I'm using the multiplier.
Yeah,
And I'm certainly not shorting the guy that's on his way down right now. That I believe is definitely better than what he's played over the last month.
Okay. Some breaking news as of yesterday. After the Jets beat up on the Bills and got that game done, there was some news that Josh Allen has maybe suffered a little bit of a significant injury. When you're dealing with the UCL, you said it yesterday to me. UCL equals Tommy John equals that's big news, man. Right now, if you looked at his 24-hour chart, which I did this morning, people are starting to panic a little bit, and I think that people are starting to sell his stock because of the fact that if there's something wrong like that, I want to say no matter what, he's going to miss a couple weeks. I think at the very least, you got to shut him down. If you think the Bills are a Super Bowl contender and they're going to continue to play their playing offensively, it's not like they have this cushion because they don't anymore. The Jets are a half game behind. The Dolphins are a half game behind. So they might have some catching up to do if they go without Josh Allen for the next couple of weeks. So it's definitely worrisome. But I will say this. It's interesting as we look at Josh Allen. We'll talk about Josh Allen more in a second. But just keep your eye on Case Keenum. Reason being is that Case Keenum probably is a short play. He's going back to Minnesota to play the Vikings with Stephon Diggs on his team. And they're both Bills, and they were both part of the Minneapolis Miracle. Very interesting to see this, but I don't think they're going to fare well if Case Keenum is in that game. So keep your eye on Case Keenum.
Well, I think I don't know, man. I mean,
you think?
Let's just say, even if they don't fare well, if Case Keenum gets named the starter of that high-powered offense against that porous Minnesota Vikings secondary, I would say that
true.
Case Keenum
I did like all the Washington
play.
Commanders players last
Might
week.
be
That's
a
true.
long play
Actually, you
on
know
Case
what?
Keenum
That might be a
with
play.
that secondary and that history and all that good
But
stuff.
Josh Allen, like I said, it's something to monitor for his future. I'm talking about just going forward. When somebody like that, just look at a pitcher in baseball, coming off Tommy John is not the fun thing. And I'm not saying that's going to happen.
Okay, so all these quarterbacks we're talking about, Case Keenum is probably the best buy right now at the moment.
now, yeah.
I'm not even kidding. I think I'm going to go.
You're gonna do this right now?
I'm not going to do it right now, but
I'll tell you
the
right now,
market's not open yet.
$25, I think, is his stock price. So Case Keenum's has some bank value. He's got the miracle in his pocket. You know what I mean? But that's about it.
Put 100,000 on him. Right?
Listen, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it. You know
Look,
what I mean?
That's almost how I'm going to start playing this and be like, I'm going to dump my bank account on one player and just say, go long on Case Keenum. And that one player should be Case Keenum.
Yeah, why not?
I'm kidding. I am not doing
But
that.
as far as Josh Allen's concerned, we all have seen what he's done. I think that he's going to be a tremendous quarterback going forward. This injury aside, it might halter this year in particular, but going forward, they've lined him with some talent over there from the Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis has emerged. Dawson Knox is serviceable. Like they have a nice little offense. Once they get that running game going, which again, they made some moves at the trade deadline. I don't know how much that's going to really significantly move them in the running back department, but their offense will be good. The Bills are a good team. Get in on Josh Allen.
I'm worried about Josh Allen's elbow. Get in on him, but I would be hesitant at the moment and wait until these tests come back because there could be a situation where Josh Allen, and I hate to say this out loud because I don't even believe in this stuff anyway, but I think that Josh Allen, when you hear UCL potential,
it's not fun.
Like that could be surgery.
Not good times. Not good times.
All right. I know that they're going to keep it hush in the meantime.
How about a guy over the last month? He's up 5.5%. So if you had his 10-time multiplier, you'd be up 50% right now, and that is Mr. Joe Burrow. Again, you lost Chase. He looked like he was lost a deer in headlights last week. Nobody understood what was happening. He didn't know where to go with the ball. But then he's like, oh, yeah, wait, hold on. I got Joe Mixon right next to me, so let's feed this monster. And he did. And just because of that, his performance improved greatly. Joe Mixon went off, so did Joe Burrow, and technically, especially in the market within the last week, he actually went up. Joe Burrow is a guy I would definitely get involved in because it seems to me that at least for the next 4 years, you're going to have the combination of a Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right, on your team forever. So, or well, 4 years at least, because they're both drafted. I think Higgins was drafted a year before.
I think Higgins, but I think that they're probably going to end up trading Higgins, honestly. If I had to guess.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to pay both those guys. And if you pay Higgins first, which he's going to be due first.
We're seeing it in L.A. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both make a $20 million. So we're seeing that it's possible.
Okay, now.
But not always the case.
So what you're going to see in Cincinnati.
They're cheap. They're a cheap organization.
Well,
they really are.
That first, they're definitely a cheap organization. And second, $20 million is Keenan Allen, Mike Williams.
These guys would be 40 and 40.
So T. Higgins and Jamar Chase a couple years later.
Yeah, like,
with the age that they're at, Jamar Chase is going to get the biggest deal ever a year after Justin Jefferson gets the biggest deal ever. So
yeah, I would agree with that. But Joe Burrow is somebody that I'm going long on. I'm slapping the 10-time multiplier on Joe Burrow. I firmly believe that this dude is that dude, and he will be Joe Cool the rest of the way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive
line, been to a Super Bowl.
Offensive line woes aside, they made it to a Super Bowl last year. I think that they kind of caught lightning in a bottle a little bit. I'm not sure they're that team this year. They're not going to steamroll the AFC the way they did.
No.
But I've been up and down on Joe Burrow, and then when I look at things at the midway point, I think that it's time to be up on Joe Burrow. Last year at this time is when they really took off.
Take a look at his year. Bring that up, Ant. His year.
Yeah, last year at this time is when they really took off.
Yeah.
Right now he's 6th in EPA per play, which means that he's that dude. He is. All things considered, with no Jamar Chase, the offenses looked really bad, then really good, but they looked really good more recently, albeit against a bad team. That defense in Carolina isn't nearly as bad as the offense is. So regardless, an NFL defense, you drop a 40 burger on them. That offense is humming right now. I want to see more consistency. And like I said, last year we saw it down the stretch. Hopefully he could turn it around and be a lot more consistent now going forward.
But somebody that you...
I'm buying on Joe Burrow.
Of course. Somebody you begged me to put on this show is Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts has made me the most money over on the market. I did. He was one of my first investments early on. As soon as the market opened and they said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you go make a trade today? Right? And I'm like, sure. Who's it going to be? Jalen Hurts was my guy. I slapped a multiplier on him. I've made money on Jalen Hurts. I will continue to make money on Jalen Hurts. Have you seen that schedule? It's very, very, very unfortunate if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan like myself who sees that. Where's the loss? Where is the loss?
Or very fortunate, given the fact that you have the exact same schedule.
I mean, we don't.
Minus one game.
That's a big game. What if we lose the division by one game? It was that one game. But anyway, Jalen Hurts is playing all world right now. His rushing ability is just phenomenal. They give him A.J. Brown as an extra weapon, and Devonta Smith was coming on at the end of last year. So all of a sudden, your 1-2 punch, plus a very, very good tight end in Dallas Goedert, plus a very, very good running game when you splash all three guys. The Eagles' offense is going to be something to watch going forward. But what I will say about Jalen Hurts is that if Mahomes is your guy with the established, banked Super Bowls, all this stuff, this might be your next Mahomes.
Yeah.
I don't want the Eagles to win any Super Bowls going forward, but I will say they give him a really, really good chance. The defense is good. That team is great. And again, when I watch the coach, I want to but he's doing well. So that whole team as a whole is
I'll
very
take
good.
my flowers whenever you're ready. When I said Sirianni's a really good coach, you're going to see that, and he is.
No.
We could clearly see that now.
Anyway.
That first press conference aside, though.
Yes,
of course.
Exactly. You got to smack
I brought
that first
Tua in. I mean, I brought Hurts in here because I wanted to highlight a couple things about these quarterbacks. I think Hurts, we talked about this yesterday maybe, Hurts and Tua are vastly undervalued, and I think that we could insert Geno Smith into that conversation as well. Because as the guys that we talked about, outside of Justin Herbert, and we talked about the fact that he had injuries to his offense and things like that, all his metrics are down a little bit as far as 21st or 18th in air yards and 15th in team DVOA for passing. Those things that everybody else that we talked about outside of the two that we first talked about with Rodgers and Brady, which we know that they're at the tail ends, so their metrics aren't really lining up. But the Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, all these guys are in the top 5, top 10 of nearly every passing metric that I'm talking about. And the names that I keep seeing popping in there are the Jalen Hurts, the Tua, and the Geno Smith. These guys are in the top 5 of nearly every single major category. And then when you factor in the fact that Jalen Hurts could run the football as effectively as he does, I just can't see why he's not being mentioned with the Josh Allens, he's in his third year. He's on a high-powered offense. They're young. They're all locked up for a little bit. It's not like they're going anywhere. The offensive line is good. The head coach is young and good. I'm not sure why Jalen Hurts' stock is so low.
This is third year or second?
It's his third year.
Thought he was a rookie last year, but anyway, I could be completely wrong.
If you could double check that for me,
actually, bring up his thing because it'll say it right on his cover. Actually, so third year. Okay,
so
I'm
Jalen
wrong.
Hurts,
I just
third
feel like
year.
he hasn't been there. But anyway,
and I just don't see why he's that low. I understand Tua because he has a little bit more work to do to a degree. I mean, I feel like they've been starting
to a degree.
Now that I think about it, maybe they don't. I think Tua is probably the least.
Nah, you missed my whole dad joke.
I did get it.
You got it.
I can't. It's too early, and we're up against it a little bit.
We are.
We have to wrap this one up.
We do.
Yeah, some of these quarterbacks that we talked about, get in on them. But the ones that I just mentioned with the Hurts, Tua, and Geno, I mean, these guys are just vastly undervalued. And I think that maybe not so much Geno, but the other two, where they're at in their career, year 3.
Okay.
I think that they're going to be in that conversation as Rodgers and Brady leave. Those two guys will be in the top 5, top 10.
I'm feeling some sort of way that there's a 7th-year quarterback that wasn't mentioned at all in this. And
you asked me why we didn't put him in, and I said, "Well, Dave, go look at the market."
Yeah, talking about my boy Rain Dakota Prescott. But anyway, we won't talk about him because we've run out of time. If you gave me an hour, 2 hours, I can go on and on about why you should long-term invest on
I'm leaving out a ton of quarterbacks that I would love to talk about.
Listen, we got a whole week of content coming your way as we're in week number 10. So do us a favor, follow Mojo. Get yourself involved with Mojo. You can follow us at Mojo on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can join the Discord at Mojo. Those are the ways to communicate with everybody. Head on over to mojo.com to read all the in-depth analysis before Monday Night Football, after Monday Night Football, before the next week. There's a bunch of writing over there. Go check it out. Believe it or not, people still like to read. So I know I do. So head on over to mojo.com. And of course, for Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, this has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. We'll see you guys tomorrow.